Welcome to Now Serving a Site of Therapy, a client's introductory guide into the therapeutic world. Be sure to follow, subscribe, and comment on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. To schedule a therapy appointment, call us at 650-223-5065. For more information on this and other related topics, check out our blog at izzotherapy.com, where you can also contact us through our website. I'm your host, Dalton Huckaby, a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I'm grateful you've joined me. I've been doing my CEUs, right, to renew my license. And one of the courses that I took was the first time that you renew, right, there's this substance use requirement. And in there, it was, again, when we're talking about assessing for risk, right, they mentioned considering comorbidity, right, co-occurring, like if when there's substance use and a mental health condition, especially if it's a mood disorder, then there's an increased risk for suicide.
Yes. And that's very important. It's very important to be always vigilant about that.
Yeah, because when we're working with clients, we're like trying to assess, right? And honestly, I mean, that's where, like, and so say, for example, someone is coming in, maybe has some shame around, their use and whatnot. But that's why it's important to feel like the therapeutic space is a safe one so that the client can come forth with this accurate information, which then allows us to have a better understanding of their position and what they're going through and, more accurate assessment of risk, if you will, right? And more aptitude towards like, how do we go about the treatment?
Exactly. And that kind of gets at what do you treat first? And then how do you approach things when they're in the room there? The next is treatment and recovery, something important to talk about. And so before we dive into treatment approaches, sort of some overriding factors in treatment. The most important
overriding factors in treatment, you said?
Yeah, is assess. Someone comes in, sometimes it won't be to the third session. They say, well, actually, I'm here because I'm drinking too much, or I'm using too much cocaine, or I'm whatever. I say, oh, okay, well, tell me about that. And then in assessments, always know that a client will always underreport substances. So when the client says to you, oh, I drink maybe a beer a night, put down 2 for your records. It's more. Same thing.
It's not because they can't remember, is it?
No, it's because they don't want to be shamed. It's a huge phenomenon in this.
Oh, so they underplay it, you're saying?
Yeah, don't want to be ashamed, and don't want to minimize, like many of us do, some of our weaknesses. So anyway, start there. Also always accept what they say. I have a client, 75-year-old gentleman, married for 45 years, owned a successful accounting firm. He came in and he said, thanks for seeing me. I'm really worried. I'm very addicted. I said, tell me, well, he said, I have 2 glasses of red wine with dinner and I am a total addict. I said, do you drink any other time of the day? No. Any more than 2 glasses? No. I said, okay. So he wants to be an addict and he thinks that defines it. So I have to go with that, right? Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Meet them where they are.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I have others who, another example would be, and this falls into the harm reduction example. I had a client that came to me, Dalton, and he had been trying to stop drinking, reduce drinking. He wanted to reduce drinking. Most of us meet a client and say, you have to stop right now. But I think, what is it you want to do? And there's 3 categories. One, I want to stop the dependency so I can then leave independently and not have to drink and not feel like I need to and be better. Or I want to go to a treatment so I can, make all these changes that need to be made in my life. Or I want harm reduction. Most people in the country say, you have to go to AA. Well, baloney. AA is one of many resources. So this guy came to me. He had been drinking. Do you know what a handle is?
A handle? Uh-huh.
So a handle is like a big bottle of alcohol. And he had been drinking a handle of vodka a day for 20 years.
And he still had a liver?
And he tried, yes, and he tried everything. Dalton, he tried everything, and nothing ever worked. He came to me, he said, nothing works. I said, I have an idea. And he said, okay, well, fine. I said, can you get in the car with me? I want to take you to the liquor store. He said, what? Yeah, I want to take you to the liquor store. I'm going to buy you a handle. My gift to you. And I'm going to buy you a glass. Are you joking? I said, no, get in. We did. We came back to his place. And I said, okay, here's my idea. You tell me if you can do it. It's just an idea, experiment. Here's this glass, whatever size it was. I said, can you, before you open that bottle, and can you fill that glass with vodka and pour that down the sink? He said, yeah, I think I could do that. I said, well, do it. And I said, great. The rest is yours. Live it up. I'll see you next week. Can you do that every day for a week? He said, yeah, I think so. And he was so excited the next week when he came in and said, I did it. I was successful. I said, good on you. What if we tried 2 cups this week? And he did. And you know the rest of the story, right? He got down to less than a third of a bottle.
I love this story. That's so amazing.
Just harm reduction. We probably put 10 years back in his life. And we gave him renewed self-confidence and brought his self-worth back. He did the heavy lifting, right? But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if you think out of the box. So lots of ways.
And it has this aspect too, right? Like you said, with the withdrawal, with the alcohol withdrawal, right? It's so intense. Like you said, it could kill you. And so this aspect of decreasing a little bit at a time, I would imagine too, kind of like decreases that risk of kind of the severity of the withdrawal symptoms.
Yes, yeah.
Too.
Everything improves. Everything improves. And so there's lots of therapy approaches. CBT is helpful. Motivational interviewing, especially motivational interviewing.
Yeah.
When they're ready or not ready. And getting at the cycle of recovery. Trauma-informed care, definitely. Most of this comes from trauma, some kind of trauma. And then I have this analogy I use all the time. I think the winning proposition for treatment is what I'll call a 3-legged stool. And that is a support group. Could be AA, could be friends, could be family, whoever you can lean into. And then mental health therapy, individual therapy, to help you support changes in your life to enhance your desire to reduce or stop drinking. And then medication-assisted treatment. And it has proven to be a best practice when used. Very successful. I've had many clients who've gone on, there's now naltrexone.
Yeah, known as Vivitrol. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and methadone is, I wouldn't suggest methadone, but I mean,
right.
It's an option, but it's not, best option is Vivitrol and naltrexone. Naltrexone is the oral. Vivitrol, you get an injection once a month. And I've had a guy that was in the emergency room 3 times a month with a near-death blood alcohol. Finally started working with him, got him into this model of 3 legs, got him on Vivitrol. He got to the point where he could actually walk down the liquor aisle in Safeway, not thinking about it, on his way to the cheeses.
Nice. Awesome. Love
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I, again, taking my CEUs, one of them I did was on this aspect of substance use, right? And it said this was really interesting to me, Joe, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. So they said, as when we're talking about relapse preventing strategies or treatment, right? For example, so within substance use, there's 3 components. There's the substance, the individual, and the environment.
Yep.
If you can disrupt one of those, then you can disrupt the cycle. Your thoughts on that, sir?
Yep. Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that, because those are the 3 key components, and it's just distracting one of those. And the person can be vigilant and see those also, and create a distraction on their own, whether it's a shower or a walk or calling a best friend or calling someone that's struggling along with them, whatever it would be. It's a big deal. Now, also, I love that you had reminded me of the 2 assessment tools, the audit and the DAST, D-A-S-T. I always start with, the one I start with first is I explain to them that, I'm glad they came, but I don't know whether they have a substance use disorder or addiction or not. They're telling me they do, or they think they might, or they might say they don't know. I said, here's the first thing I would advise you to do. Subscribe to the 30-day test. If you can stop drinking or stop using for 30 days without going out of your mind, you're probably not addicted. You could be a heavy drinker. Then we have a different issue. How do you become a lighter drinker if that's what you want, but you don't have an addiction? And then follow it all.
Just the risk with that, right? Like you said, if severity is high, right, suggesting no alcohol for 30 days, that could be risky there. And like you said, so it depends
Well, they won't make it 2 days.
Right, exactly, right. Yeah.
We're not going to make
Got
it.
it.
So we all know. So a positive reinforcement is the most important thing. And also, there are so many variations to treatment. Start small. Try to get someone to do these assessments. Then suggest they consider an outpatient training program. Start there. Start small. Don't jump to residential. And then go to considering residential treatment if that seems to be the right option. And in terms of support groups, there are many. There's AA is certainly one of them, but AA kind of, the problem with AA is it says, put your seatbelt on, stop drinking, be abstinent, and get a sponsor. It has to say, get a therapist so you can look under the hood and find out why you're using this coping mechanism.
And if there's these mental health concerns as well, right? Like those need to be addressed too. Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's what's missing from AA, but it's successful largely because it's a support group and they're all over the world.
Yeah.
You can go to Hawaii, you can go to wherever, you can go to West LA. And in fact, it's so popular in West LA. It's like, oh, I have a therapist, and then I'm in AA. That's my meeting, and then I'm cool, and I'm driving a Corvette. Life is all good.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
It becomes the cool thing, which it shouldn't necessarily be. But there's Life Ring. There's Reform Recovery, which is a group that meets and meetings up and down California and elsewhere in the country, which is more of a Buddhist approach to managing substance use disorders. There are
Interesting.
there are many options. So AA isn't the only one. So, and the most important thing is a punctuation mark on all of this is positive reinforcement. You can't beat someone into doing what you want them to do, or beat them into. They have to be ready. And you can say, "I'm here when you are ready. I'm here when you need me," or any of those things. But anything else doesn't work. So, I guess maybe summarizing, Dalton. I mean, if you could summarize that substance disorder addiction, it's a treatable health and mental health condition. Early treatment can save lives. I would encourage listeners to learn more. The irony here is this is our biggest, alcohol substance disorder is bigger than all the cancers wrapped together in the United States.
Say that again.
It's bigger, larger. It's a larger disease than all the cancers rolled into one.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's huge.
More. And so also the tragedy is your PCP, my PCP, physicians, nurses, public health workers, all of them, physicians especially, they get 3 units of substance use in their career. What can you know in 3 units?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Because it's so complex, right?
Yeah. And so, learn more, do research, read, and if you have a family member in crisis, help them. Helping them is asking how you can help them, not making them go somewhere, not kidnapping them. And then you've heard of these parents kidnap their kids in the middle of the night and send them to.
Yeah.
It's a waste of money and it's not going to work. The person has to be ready, and readiness is the most important factor.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. And when you talk about like the positive reinforcements, can we just talk a little bit about that? Because I want to emphasize this aspect of when we talk about the physical dependency and how that drives the behavior, right? Behavior can result from negative or positive consequences, right?
Yeah.
And so, or reinforcements. And so what are some kind of like examples of this positive reinforcements that someone might be able to create in their own life in order to kind of like move towards this recovery or prevention stage?
Yeah, it depends on where they are in the cycle. But they can try to distract themselves with other things rather than something happens. They can map out what could happen. Here's an example. I suggest people like, "Oh, I've got a wedding this weekend." I said, "Oh, okay." And I'm afraid there's a lot of drinking. I said, "Let's talk about what you could do. You can choose not to go. Just don't go. Or you can choose to bring a buddy, and say, can you kind of like be my buddy system for this wedding? Or you can go to the service and not go to the reception. Or you could say, what happens if you go to the reception? You can bring your buddy and you can drink soda. Might be hard, but you can make small interventions in small periods of time and see little successes.
Yeah, and even like saying, or we choose to go to the reception too, right? And I've heard this said once, it's like sometimes, again, with that physical dependency, sometimes it's just a matter of having something in the hands, right? So they go to the reception, so like, well, get a drink in your hand, right? A non-alcoholic drink in your hands right
Yep.
away. Then that way you feel like you still have something to drink.
Yeah, that can help. That can help a lot. Exactly. Yeah, it's a good point. So it's really, and also, as much as we can, not shame people, not make them
Yeah.
feel like they're a failure or they've screwed up. It's a disease. And if you put another hat on and imagine you're talking to someone with cancer and they're going to be dead in a month, you're not going to yell at them for not eating healthy their whole life or for not doing that. You're going to be like crying and wanting to
Yeah,
give
have some
them.
empathy and compassion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But the
Support.
stick is this person made bad choices and they're a loser and, good riddance. That's the
Yeah.
truth.
So again, all the more important reason why to surround ourselves with that support system, right?
Yeah. But also
Yeah.
boundaries is an important part too. Don't buy your loved one alcohol.
Right.
I'm not going to buy it for you.
Right.
That's
Very, very important tip.
just a rule. I mean, a lot of people do. A lot of people do because they feel it's like they're a codependent giver and they have to do that. I have one woman, her son died 6 months ago. She had a lot of money. And my advice was don't support him. He didn't work. He drank all day. She rented an apartment for him and paid the rent, paid the utilities, and bought all his groceries and brought them to him.
And we call that enabling.
I think so. And that's a nice life, right? Why would he stop drinking?
Exactly. Yeah. No
And so,
consequences.
and so he died. It's not,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. And then he died.
yeah,
Wow. Holy crap. Oh,
yeah. 26 years old. Shame.
oh my God. So young.
Yeah.
Again,
Early
right?
childhood trauma. He was adopted. We don't know what happened to him in his early youth and all these interesting things. But it's a very difficult and multifaceted topic.
Yes, and again, just like with most of the topics we talk about here, right? We're just kind of like skimming the surface a little bit, right? We could pick apart any of these other kind of subcategories we've been talking about and just expand on it more, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, the idea here is just like we're kind of like giving some information and some insight in case someone is experiencing some concerns around substance use. At least you have a little bit of information than you had before, right? To kind of like maybe point you in that right direction to getting some support if that's what you're feeling like you need.
Exactly. Well, I really enjoyed our time today. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
likewise too, Joe. Yeah, I appreciate your time, man, and the conversation. Thanks for tuning in this week. Be sure to listen to our next episode as we explore various aspects of how to show up for ourselves and others by tending to our own mental and emotional well-being.